Hey, chiropractors, welcome to Modern Chiropractic Mastery with your host, Dr. Kevin Christie, where we discuss the latest in marketing, business, and professional growth with some of the leading experts in the industry. Imagine you're driving through a storm, rain pounding, the windshield wipers going crazy, radio blaring warnings. Yet somehow you still spot that faint exit sign and gets you home safely. That's the difference between signal and noise in business. Most entrepreneurs are drowning in noise, but the ones who build empires, or obviously we don't care about empires, but build really good businesses, they lock into the signal. And today we're going to talk about how to exactly do that. The signal versus the noise in your business. But before we do that, do want to make mention that we have a fun opportunity if you're in Europe or if you're in the States, in Canada, you want to travel over to Europe. But we do have quite a bit of a European audience, which has been pretty cool to dive into the statistics of that. And so if you are listening, we're going to be in London, June 20th. So it's going to be June 20th. We're going to be in London for a patient experience masterclass. It's going to be myself and Dr. Chris Chippendale, who is in the UK. And so it's going to be a one-day event. It's going to be in London. It's actually going to be at the Drafts London. So Drafts like Draughts. That's how they spell it over in the UK. But it's cool, actually. Two friends of mine started the Drafts. There's two in the London area. This one will be in the Stratford area of London. But it's a board game cafe. Really cool location. And we're going to host it there. They've got a whole setup where you can host meetings and classroom style. We're going to probably limit this to 25 people. It's going to be all day on the Saturday, June 20th. And the morning session will be with Dr. Chris Chippendale on the doctor-patient communication experience. And then I'll be in the afternoon. And that'll be service versus hospitality and marketing essentials for the patient. And this information will be, suited for any chiropractor, whether you're in Europe or if you're in the States or Canada. Going to be suited for that, so don't worry about that. That'll be from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on June 20th, and you can just simply go to bit.ly/MCMUK26. So that's bit.ly/MCMUK26. And we will put that in the show notes. So hopefully we will see you there. Excited. There's an early bird right now before the end of March. So please sign up. If you're going to go, I really hope you sign up soon. We're trying to gauge how many people we are going to have there, but we're going to probably cap it at 25, and we're getting some good feedback. And we'll actually probably have a few people over from the States from our mastermind group there as well. Let's take a break from today's episode and announce our first sponsor. This is going to be Propel Marketing and Design. I've known Darcy Sullivan for years. We've worked hand in hand on my websites. I don't trust anybody else to do this search engine optimization. She does a great job. There's so much to it. A lot of the lingo and the words are beyond my comprehension, but it's just amazing work that she does. And if you're really going to get results with Google, you have to make sure your website is SEO optimized. And I really don't want you doing it yourself as a chiropractor. So you just have to have this type of stuff done. And if you're looking to get more organic online traffic that pulls in new patients, Propel Marketing and Design is currently offering chiropractors who listen to this podcast a free SEO website review. The free review will help you uncover methods that will improve your website and boost your search engine visibility. Head over to propelyourcompany.com/chiropractor and schedule your free SEO website review. You won't regret it. She gets great results. Your website needs this. Your search results need this. Head on over there to propelyourcompany.com/chiropractor to get your free SEO website review. So, all right. Not that long ago, what made me think about doing this particular podcast solo episode of signal versus noise was I was listening to another podcast. I listen to so many podcasts. I forget which one it was, but they were interviewing Mr. Wonderful from, and I can't even remember what his real name is, but he's from Shark Tank. And a simple question was, what do you usually see amongst the successful entrepreneurs versus the ones that struggle? And he mentioned that the successful ones do a really good job of focusing on the signal and not the noise. And he said, your day should consist of spending 80% on signal and 20% or less on the noise. And I think as chiropractors, we struggle with that. And part of it's inherent to the fact that, if I said to you, you got to grow your practice and you got to focus on the business side of that, only doing things marketing and business growth related, one would consider the signal and everything else the noise. But we have to spend so many hours on treating patients. And so I think one of the things I bring to the table is being able to apply business and marketing strategies to the real world of being a practicing chiropractor. And so I would say, obviously treating patients is the signal. Like you got to be, when you are treating patients, you have to be focusing on treating patients and providing the best care and experience you can, because that will drive a ton of referrals. Very often, uh, distracted or um, chiropractors that are not really present with the patients struggle. And then there's a silent killer of the, you have the net promoter score. You can Google that if you don't know what it is, but you don't have a high net promoter score. So not enough people are screaming at the rooftop to refer to you, and that could be a problem. And so you might be focusing on the noise even during patient care. So if you're during patient care, that's the signal. Doing notes, it probably is. It's feels like noise in our life, and it is in a lot of ways for sure, but we just have to do it, so it's part of it, part of getting paid too. So we'll put that in the signal. But then when you have downtime, within your work week, not on Sunday or whatever, but you have downtime in hours and you're not treating patients, you have to consider the short periods of time that you do have that is not with family and not with patients, but still working, is you got to get really, really good at focusing on the signal because you might only have 4 to 6 hours a week to work on business and marketing, right? And so you better be very strategic with that time and not be filling it with noise, right? And so how they define signal would be meaningful, high leverage information that actually moves your business forward. Core metrics, customer truth, long-term trends, your unique vision, like really focusing on the things that are going to move your business forward. And then noise is everything else that feels urgent but isn't important, right? Just all that type of stuff that we know. And so we got to really figure out how much of your week is spent reacting to things that won't matter in a year. And we got to be able to define signal versus noise.
Let's take a short break for one of our great sponsors, TrackStat. It is a new type of software plugin for your EHR that combines patient communication, marketing, automation, and statistics with patient and employee tracking. Built by chiropractors for chiropractors, it shows your team what to focus on each day. See patient visit habits, missing information, unpaid bills, insurance collection visit average, and more. Great visibility of data so you can focus on filling your office with your best patients. When you can see what your staff and patients are doing or not doing and take action accordingly, your profits naturally grow. Take TrackStat for a test drive in your office with our free trial. Not a techie, no problem, we can help. To get started on your free trial, visit trackstat.org and watch the demo. That is trackstat.org.
Now I'm going to kind of marry, a strategy around that and essentially defining your North Star, or I've mentioned it quite a bit over the last couple months, whether it's coaching clients or maybe on the podcast. And but we had the Great Game of Business come speak to our East West Mastermind meetup in New Orleans back at the end of October, and it was all about the critical number. and getting very clear on the critical number of a business, and then for us as a chiropractor. And so I think if you can get, and that's, we're really hitting this hard with our coaching clients, and we've onboarded quite a few new ones beginning of the year, and this is where we're really starting out with them a lot, is getting hyper focused on the critical number, because then that is what I'm finding, at least in my practice and in MCM. We did our critical number for Health Fit, my practice, and we've done it for MCM, and it's really helped focus us on the signal. And so there's four characteristics of the critical number. And if you heard this, sorry, you hear it again. Sometimes you need to hear it 7 times before it really sinks in. But how the great game of business defines it is: one is the critical number is a weakness or vulnerability. Two, the critical number is measurable. Three, the critical number is a performance yardstick. And four, the critical number is a rallying point for your team. And so we as a group in MCM, we kind of teased out what some probable critical numbers could be for a chiropractic practice. And then sometimes you have to dig deeper, right? So I'll list them out and I'll give you an example how sometimes you have to dig deeper. New patients could definitely be a critical number. Um, it's not always. We've actually had a lot more of our clients where it's not new patients. We have quite a bit of practices that they're getting a healthy amount of new patients. It's not a new patient problem, but there are definitely practices that need more new patients. Another one is office visits. Now that's the one I'll tease out a little bit. That office visits could be a critical number, but if we're not careful, and this is what we've been working with our clients, that could just be a surface level thing. And as we dig deeper, we were like, you know what? Yeah, we need more office visits, but there's a reason why your clinic is lacking office visits. And so I've had clinics where the new patients numbers are great, but the office visit amount doesn't really match up with the new patients they're getting and the historical years they've had behind their belt in their practice and the reactivations they should be getting, right? So, a practice, if I gave you two practices that do 30 new patients a month, one's been in business for 2 years and one's been in business for 12 years, the one that has 12 years is going to have a lot more reactivations and potentially more visits because of that. More maintenance patients, more reactivations than the practice that has only 2 years, as you can imagine. But, an office visit could be a critical number, but I could dive into it and say, "You know what? It's not office visits that's the problem." Yeah, it is, but deeper than that is your patient adherence is bad. You're getting new patients and you're getting reactivations, but not enough of them are following through with what your treatment plan is, right? And so that's one example. There could be 5 things causing lack of office visits, but I just wanted to give you an example of how it could be deeper rooted, right? Yeah, revenue, could definitely be a critical number, but a lot of times that's you gotta dig deeper there, but sometimes it is the critical number, and we need to tackle, like, 3 things to do it. Patient adherence could be a critical number. Office visit average, right? The dollar amount per visit average, right? So if I took your last 3 years of office visits and divided it by revenue, there's a number, $50, $75, $80. A lot of our clients, OVA is the problem, right? They got good new patients, they're doing good with patient adherence, office visits are good, but they have a very low OVA due to maybe particular insurances or cash rates they're charging, things like that.
Let's take a short break from today's episode to tell you about the best decision I've made in my clinic in the last 10 years, and that has been adding shockwave therapy to our clinic. The outcomes have been really impressive. Certain conditions we were struggling with in the past, we're now seeing results with the shockwave therapy for that. And second of all, the ROI has been really good. You know, when you make a big investment in something, you want to see a return, and we're seeing that return in clinical outcomes and in our investment, and that's been really nice to see. I chose Keenest Medical for 4 reasons. One is the technology is top notch. You have to have great technology. There's a lot out there that isn't quite up to snuff. The second thing is they have a really good clinical training. They have an exclusive partnership with Academy of Shockwave Excellence so that you can become clinically proficient in shockwave. You do need to get skilled at it. I think that's a big differentiator between practices that are getting great results and seeing the ROI is they have a great clinical aspect to that as well. So you want to get trained appropriately. Third is they have in-house service team for all of your technical support, which is key when you're investing in a machine like this. And then lastly, They have a very in-depth marketing and business support for you so that you can launch this into your practice effectively, that you can get that ROI on it, that you can get the clinical outcomes. And they also have really good financing options if you need that. So go to kinasmedical.com, KINAS medical.com, mention MCM podcast and receive a free shockwave in practice book with a purchase of a unit. So that's kinasmedical.com, KINAS medical.com, and mention MCM podcast.
Another one could be percentages of new patients scheduled, that scheduling their treatment plan entirely. So how many of your new patients are scheduling their entire treatment plan out? That's a really good key indicator for a practice. Higher patient adherence when they do that. A lot of reasons for it. I'm not going to dive into it on this episode, but this is something we tackle a lot. Reactivations could be a very common critical number. You might be doing good in new patients and office visit good, OVA is good. You're doing pretty good at patient adherence, but we're just not getting enough reactivation. So we need to target maybe a marketing strategy to get more reactivations. Another one could be packages sold, right? If you sell reasonable packages, that can be a great indicator for a practice. And so those are some of the things that, you got to get really clear on for your practice and then build a strategic plan around it. And then that strategic plan becomes the signal and everything else the noise. It doesn't mean you don't touch up on this or improve that a little bit and monitor that, but you're spending a lot of time tackling that one critical number or what your North Star is, right? And so you want to try to, once you've gotten clear on that, you want to try to create some noise filters, right? Maybe a weekly review, right? What did I spend time on this week that won't matter in 6 months? That's a good question to ask yourself. Maybe you need an information diet. Curate your feeds ruthlessly, unfollow, mute, batch, check, the news, or if you're listening to too many audiobooks and, or podcasts, you keep listening to this one, hopefully. But sometimes you gotta, I've done this every so often. I consume a lot of information. I just enjoy it so much, whether it's reading or listening to podcasts or whatever. I just try to digest as much. And part of that is too, because I try to digest a lot of information and tease it out and then be able to present it to you, the audience. And this is an example. This episode is an example. This was something I listened to on another podcast. Like, oh, you know what? This makes a lot of sense for all of you. And so it's part of my job. But sometimes I go on an information diet and say, I just got to go heads down. Build some deep work habits. This one of the things I love. Cal Newport. I love a lot of his work, but he has the book called Deep Work. So like kind of time block, focus periods, turn off notifications, and really do some heads down work that you need to grow your business. Right? Another one is say no gracefully. Right? Practice scripts like that's interesting, but it doesn't fit our current focus. Right? And so if you get really clear on what your North Star is and your current focus, it becomes easier to say no to things that don't serve you. Okay? And so, I think signal is quiet, persistent, and boringly powerful. Noise is loud, urgent, and ultimately empty. Okay. And I want to just challenge you this week, right? This week, pick one source of noise in your business and eliminate it. And then see how that feels. And then go to the next one, right? And so, the ultimately the quietest companies are often the strongest. All right. Tune out the noise, lock onto your signal, and what happens next. Watch what happens next in your practice. And if you need help figuring out what the signal is for your practice, that is something that as we at MCM have grown quite exponentially over the last few years with helping chiropractors, whether it's in our traditional coaching and marketing programs or our masterminds or online courses, is we're getting even better to understand what our signal is as a company to help chiropractors out and what your signal is to help you have a direct path to achieve the results you need because it's different for everybody. And being able to tease that out when you're in it is sometimes hard. And us, our coaches, me, Kurt Kippenberger, who we got an episode coming out with him, Ashley Jordan, Brennan Donahue, who is, I want to welcome him. He's one of our new associate coaches out of St. Louis. And, our whole team, Becky and our account coordinators, Emily and Anthony, uh, Darcy helps us on the SEO stuff. We got quite a team around here to help you out on what the signal is for your practice.
I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. And if you want to make the shift from busy, broke, and broken to time-free and cash confident, or you just want to continue with the exponential growth, check us out at modernchiropracticmarketing.com. Look at the MCM Mastery tab, watch the short video on there, and check out what we are doing now for evidence-informed chiropractors. We are equal parts coaching and marketing done for you. Yes, you shoot some videos, we help you with campaign strategies and ideas and really become a thought leader in your community. You shoot those videos, you send them to us, we produce, edit, and brand them to you. Then we distribute them through all of your channels. We also take them and we turn it into one good blog per month. And every other month, we have Darcy Sullivan producing a robust blog with a topic that you pick from her database to help with your SEO. So we essentially become your content marketing agency to make sure your practice is always having ethical, elegant content marketing to help grow your practice. On the coaching side, we also help you with everything from marketing ideas to business, communications, finances, anything practice growth, and really try to help prevent you from being stuck on that island. And we hold you accountable. We have a great group of doctors that are just doing amazing things, and we look forward to help you out to take that next step in your practice. So again, check us out at modernchiropracticmarketing.com and learn more.